Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, February 1, 2021. The Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, has acquired 2 laser engraving marking machines, which will allow the agency to better trace firearms through special markings. The equipment, which value approximately $9,000, is financed by the Inter-American Development Bank through a broader $400,000 security strengthening project for the FLA. At the unveiling ceremony on Thursday, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said the FLA would use the equipment to mark weapons with an alphanumeric code that's unique to Jamaica. That code will identify the weapon's country of import, the importer, user, and year of importation.
Which means from now on, every licensed firearm in Jamaica will have a ID installed by laser, which means wherever it is found, we can know who was the original owner, who brought it in, and that it is in fact a licensed firearm in Jamaica. So the laser ID is a critical part of the FLA's tools to manage the firearm industry in Jamaica.
Dr. Chang says the FLA will begin the marking of civilian firearms, which will be mandatory under the new Firearms Act that is to be brought before Parliament in short order. Chief Executive Officer of the FLA, Shane Dalling, says the agency also has a bullet track machine, which is able to test all bullets that have been fired by a licensed firearm.
All ballistic testing of firearms are uploaded immediately to the forensic unit, which assists the police in tracking firearms in terms of usage, illegal firearms, usage of firearms, crime scene investigation.
Meanwhile, the Firearms Licensing Authority, FLA, says it will now be accepting all applications and appeals online. The agency says it receives on average just over 3,000 applications per month, with a turnaround processing time of 6 months to 1 year. Chief Executive Officer Shane Dalling says the automated process means persons will be able to track their applications online.
Persons who drop off their application are immediately informed of their unique ID number to track the application online, and the system also sends an email to the applicant each time there's an update on your application.
He says that with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the online platform makes it easier to process applications while remaining socially distant. Turning to another matter, the Chief Executive Officer says that as the FLA conducts background checks and investigations on applicants, it also takes a careful approach to ensure there is a clear need for the firearm.
Even if you have a clean background, you must demonstrate to the FLA that you have a clear need for this firearm. So, as I stated before, just to say that there's a crime problem in Jamaica is not sufficient, because that would affect everyone. You have to show your particular need, your circumstances, which justify the need for that firearm.
100 beneficiaries are soon to benefit from a project aimed at developing and transitioning informal small farmers and fisherfolk to formal operators. This will commence on Thursday, February 4, with the signing of a $70,000 agreement between the Government of Jamaica and funding agency, the International Labour Organization, ILO. The project will be implemented jointly by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce through its agency, the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. Support will be provided by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. The project will include the provision of business development, support, and capacity building training in the areas of business management, financial management, bookkeeping, and market penetration. Participants will also be coached in identifying viable market opportunities, creating linkages with manufacturing or processing operations, tourism and service industries, as well as increasing their export potential. It is expected that the intervention provided by this project will improve the efficiency of small businesses, allowing participants to scale up their operations and eventually export to overseas markets. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is encouraging stakeholders in the tourism sector to use the downtime brought on by COVID-19 to make the necessary investments for rebranding their products and services and renovating facilities. This, he says, will allow for a smoother transition into full operation once the pandemic has subsided.
Now is the time to do all those physical changes to the plant that you couldn't do while you have guests in. Now is the time to imagine a new landscape and get it done. Because we know that we will either overcome the pandemic and put it behind us, or we will learn to live with the pandemic.
Prime Minister Holness was speaking at Red Stripe Experience's groundbreaking ceremony recently. He expressed optimism that the local economy would bounce back and urged local and foreign investors to make their move during this time.
Some commentators suggest that the rebound in travel and tourism post-pandemic will be much greater than is generally predicted as a result of huge pent-up demand. When the lockdowns are ended, people are going to want to just travel like crazy, and we want to be ready for them when they return to travel.
And finally, the National Works Agency NWA says repairs are now resuming on the West End roadway in Negril, Westmoreland. The work had been halted to allow for the replacement of faulty water lines beneath the road surface. The West End roadway project involves the construction of sidewalks at critical points along the corridor, repairs to sections of the road surface, and the construction of a boundary wall. Community Relations Officer for the NWA Western Region, Janelle Ricketts, says significant ground has been covered in terms of the construction of sidewalks and preparatory works to repair the targeted sections of the roadway. Emphasis will now be placed on completing the resurfacing of the roadway within the next 2 weeks. Works to construct a boundary wall and the remaining sidewalks will be completed by March 2021. The project is being completed at a cost of approximately $23.4 million and represents a joint venture between the NWA and Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.